There are at least 3 ways to build any EDH commander.
Strong.
Fun! And mean. Let's talk about the strong, fun, and mean ways I would build Meren of Clan Nel Toth. The video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I am Joel. Today we're going to talk about Meren of Clan Nel Toth and the 3 different ways that I would build her strong, fun, and mean. But first, if you like the video by the end of it and you want to see more videos like it, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. It lets me know that you're interested in seeing more of these. Talking about the 3 ways that I would build Meren of Clan Nel Toth, I would build her strong with a sacrifice enter the battlefield strategy. I would build her fun with a shaman Golgari theme. And for mean, we're going with a Shadowborn Apostle clerics deck. Let's jump into it. First off, let's look at Meren. Meren is 1 black, 1 green, 2 other. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. At the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's CMC is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So what we need to happen is for Meren to be on the battlefield, for things to die, for you to gain experience counters, and then we start some synergy and some resurgence of those things. Let's jump into strong with sacrifice enter the battlefield theme. First up, I have to include this card. Birthing Pod is a house. It is fantastic. If you activate this with one of your creatures on the battlefield, with Meren on the battlefield, is going to be a couple of different things are going to happen. One, you're going to get an experience counter, another ETB trigger off of whatever creature you go and get, and you're either going to be able to return that creature that you killed, depending on how many experience counters you have, or at the very least, it's going to go back to your hand and you can recast it when you have the mana. Birthing Pod is going to act like a toolbox. It's going to go get whatever enter the battlefield effect you need at that time, whether it's destroy an artifact or enchantment, a creature, some kind of bounce effect, or just a big beater finisher if the CMC +1 is what you need to go and get. Moving along, we've got cards like Woe Strider as well. We need other sacrifice outlets, and Woe Strider is an unlimited sacrifice outlet, only determined by the number of creatures that we have. Woe Strider is going to allow us, when Meren's on the battlefield, to have a lot of things die all at once so that we can get experience counters, maybe in response to a board wipe, something like that, or just to start building experience counters up on ourselves. Those counters really can't go anywhere, so once we have them, we're going to be able to trigger this effect as long as Meren is on the battlefield. Spore Frog, this is the kind of creature that you're going to want to run in this deck. It's got a repeatable effect. It's going to be able to sacrifice to itself, okay? So you can return it to the battlefield automatically. Spore Frog plus Meren is essentially no combat damage happens when you don't want it to. Caustic Caterpillar is another one like this. Pay 2, sack it, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Once we're at 1 experience counter on Meren, or on ourselves through Meren, which is what will be after just Caustic Caterpillar dies, you can activate the ability of Caterpillar, kill it, return it at the beginning of your next end step, and be able to do it again. Mind Slicer, this one's fantastic. Here's a good target for some of our sacrifice outlets. Imagine birthing podding a Mind Slicer. When it goes into the graveyard, each player discards his or her hand. We don't really care about this because at this point we're using the graveyard as a secondary hand for us. And so when it goes to the graveyard, we get an experience counter. If we have 4, we can return it directly. If not, we can just return it right back to our hand and just completely nuke our opponent's hands. I know that it hits everybody, but because we control the effect, we do get the ability to build around it and to play around it. Grim Haruspex, this is another one. This is going to be card advantage for us. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, draw a card. So every time our death triggers or our sacrifice things are going off, we're refilling our hand from our library anyway. Even though we're just trying to treat our graveyard like a secondary hand, why not keep our main hand full as well so we can have some instants and some sorceries in addition to just creatures in this deck so that we can play those when we need them as well. Midnight Reaper, here's redundancy on that effect. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you lose a life, you draw a card. Just like that. Skull Clamp. This card is fantastic. I mean, it's a staple in EDH. Everybody knows it. Attach it to anything that you know is going to die, or attach it to your biggest threat on the board that you know is going to be targeted by some kind of removal. At the very least, we know if Meren's on the battlefield, we're going to get credit for it dying anyway, so we might as well have 2 more cards as a result of its death. Land War Elves. Let's ramp. Let's ramp with this deck. We don't care if these early dorks die because it gets us experience counters, and the sooner that we can get Meren onto the battlefield and gaining us experience counters from death, the better. That means that we'll just be able to filter anything that does die right back into our hand or right back onto the battlefield. Things like this, ramp. We don't care if these early creatures die because they'll either be able to come back and perform their utility again very easily, or they're going to ramp us up to a quick Meren. We want to play Meren like turn 3, turn 4. We don't want to, 4 is when she can come out on her main CMC. We want to play her early, turn 2, turn 3, if we can cheat her out with some rocks and some early mana ramp. That's how I would play her strong. You know, put some bombs there towards the end so that as you're playing things and you know, you'll be able to return them and get those creatures over and over and over again and just get this loop going with Meren's ability. Make sure that if you can, you build ETBs into this deck. Very particularly ETBs with this deck, because you're going to get the effects repeatedly, are very strong. So you're going to have something as soon as that creature comes onto the battlefield. Let's jump over into the fun way that I would build Meren, and that's with a very strong Golgari sub-theme with some of a shaman theme as well. If I'm building a Golgari deck, I'm starting with Golgari Charm. 1 green, 1 black, choose 1. All creatures get -1/-1. Destroy an enchantment or regenerate each creature. This is just a very Golgari flavored thing. And we're going to specifically, when we're building a themed deck, I like to look for the watermark, so the Golgari watermark in this case, that's right there behind the text box, or the word Golgari in the title. Golgari Finebroker fits both of those, and it's a good card. Green, green, black, black for a 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, return a permanent from your graveyard to your hand. So just more Golgari-style tricks. Let's use our graveyard as a resource. Pull things back up out of it, regrow them onto the battlefield. Jarad Golgari Lich Lord. This is one of the Golgari's lords. We gotta play it. Gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. We're gonna be doing some of that with Meren. Pay 3, sack a creature. Here's another sack outlet. We talked about that in the strong build. Each opponent lose life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. That could be a finisher in the right deck. We'll just bleed them all down. Sack a swamp and a forest. Return it from your graveyard to your hand. So our Golgari Lich Lord also has some replayability baked right into that card. Here's another one, Sabra, Queen of the Golgari. Golgari in the title. Got a little watermark back there if you can see. Whenever you sacrifice a black creature, you may pay 2 life. If you do, each other player sacks a creature. Whenever you sacrifice a green creature, you may gain 2 life. This just goes along with the same sub-theme that we're going to try and build into a Meren deck. It's all going to be synergistic, and because it's all sort of very, very focused around being Golgari and having a graveyard that's a resource and regrowing things and getting things back and killing things and sacrificing things and then they return, everything's going to be synergistic, and you're just going to be able to find these little lines of play and combos that you may not even known were there. Vraska Golgari Queen. I don't build a lot of planeswalkers into EDH decks, but this one's so flavorful. It's Queen of the Golgari. You can sacrifice a permanent. This is an outlet to do that. That +2, sack a permanent, gain a life, draw a card. Pay 3 to destroy something 3 or less, so knock out a mana rock off of their side or some pesky enchantment that's been proving to be a problem. And if you can get her all the way up to your emblem, that's how you win a game. Golgari Germination. I love this one because whenever a non-token creature dies, we get a 1/1 creature to further trigger some of our sacrifices and some of our other sorts of things that don't care that it's a token. Okay, how about something like this? Attrition. Pay 1 black, sack a creature, your 1/1 creature, the sapling that you created from something else dying, to destroy target non-black creature. And so we've suddenly just got this Golgari cannon going off, destroying everything in its path. Next up, we've got Dead Bridge Chant. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 10 of your library into your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose a card at random from your graveyard. If it's a creature, it goes right onto the battlefield. If it's not, it goes into your hand. This is so Golgari, it's ridiculous, okay? 1 black, 1 green, 4 other for this enchantment that's going to be hard to kill because enchantments are sticky. See how Jake likes to describe enchantments. And this thing is just doing everything we want it. The synergy with this deck is just ridiculous. Moldervine Reclamation, here's another one. We talked about repeatable ways to keep your hand full as well. Whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life, draw a card. That's it. An enchantment, 1 green, 1 black, 3 other. This is a Golgari synergistic kind of build that we're going for. Jarad's Orders. So we've already seen our Lich Lord, but we have his orders as well. Search your library for 2 creature cards, put 1 into your hand, other into your graveyard. So you can go get a utility creature that you can play early, maybe a ramp spell, or you can go put your finisher into the graveyard so that hopefully you can res it ahead of curve and absolutely start beating everybody down and trying to take the game over. And speaking of that, the final card we've got for this fun build is Dread Return. This is a very strong card. 2 black, 2 other, return target creature card from your graveyard to play, and you can flash it back by sacrificing 3 creatures. Those creatures can be token creatures, so we see our Golgari Germination paying off with a card like this, making it easy for us to go and get, you know, some kind of 12/12 trampling flyer, or bringing back some ridiculous creature from the graveyard to the battlefield way ahead of curve, because this is only 4 mana to cast, and we went and got it with Gerard's Orders. I mean, probably even without ramp on turn 5, if you had Gerard's Orders and Dread Return in your hand, there's your little 2-card combo right there. Go get your massive bomb beater, put it in the graveyard, and provided it makes it until you're untapped, Dread Return it, bing bang boom, you're in the money. That's the fun way that I would build it. Very theme oriented around Golgari, very synergistic as far as the whole shaman thing goes. Let's look at the mean way that I would build this deck. So with the mean way, we're going to build a Shadowborn Apostle deck, and we're going to have a cleric sub-theme, because as you can see there, Shadowborn Apostles are human clerics. 1 black for a 1/1, a deck can have any number of cards named Shadowborn Apostle, so we're going to run a lot of these in our deck. Pay 1 black, sack 6 creatures named Shadowborn Apostle, search your library for a demon card, put it straight onto the battlefield. Let's see how we can take advantage of that, and the main way that I think we can take advantage of that is with a card that you would normally not play in EDH, and that's Bloodborne March. Whenever a creature spell is played, each player returns all cards with the same name as that spell from their graveyard to play. Normally in EDH this would be garbage, but if we've got a bunch of Shadowborn Apostles that are all in the graveyard summoning our demons every time they get sacked there, all we got to do is play 1 more Shadowborn Apostle, and every single one that we have cast comes back, as long as it's in the graveyard, returns all cards with the same name as that spell from their graveyard to play. This card is ridiculous in this deck, okay? And one of the main ways to make it work. So let's look at some of the demons that we would pull out. Villas, Broker of Blood. Flying, pay a black, pay 2 life, target creature gets a -1/-1 until end of turn. Easy peasy. Whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So we're going to pay a black, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. That's a ridiculous demon to get on the board early. Here's one: your opponents can't gain life. Archfiend of Despair. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life lost this turn. So we've got Wound Reflection on a demon that we can go and summon with our Shadowborn Apostles. Overseer of the Damned enters the battlefield. You may destroy target creature. I already told you with Meren. Enters the battlefield effects are going to be huge. Okay, whenever a non-token creature an opponent controlled dies, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. So we're destroying things. We're getting more creatures that we can sack to other effects, as long as it doesn't care about non-token. And I mean, just with Meren on the battlefield, if you can get Meren onto the battlefield at the time of sacking the Apostles, you're going to get so many experience counters, and you're going to easily be able to start returning this CMC of creature from the graveyard to the battlefield. Here's another ETB. When Runescarred Demon enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Boom, we got a Demonic Tutor on a Runescarred Demon. That works for me. Demon of Wailing Agonies. As long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and whenever it deals combat damage, that player sacks a creature. So it's a removal spell on a 6/6 flyer, as long as we've got Meren on the battlefield. Kinda ridiculous. Rotlung Reanimator. Now we're going to start taking advantage of the fact that we have a bunch of clerics in our deck. Whenever Rotlung Reanimator or another cleric's put into graveyard from a play, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto play. So we're going to replace, while our apostles all sacrifice themselves to go get a demon, put it onto the battlefield, we're going to replace each apostle with a 2/2 black zombie creature token that we can use to further sacrifice, play into our strategy, whatever, it doesn't matter. Rotlung Reanimator is going to be replacing any cleric that dies while it's on the battlefield. Here's a wizard. Whenever it or another human creature you control dies, they're also humans, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Same thing. Zulaport Cutthroat, I think, works great in this deck in particular because we're going to have a lot of creatures on the battlefield that are all dying when it or another creature, it doesn't say non-token creature, so it can take advantage of all those little tokens we're making as well. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. That's going to give us a little bit of a machine gun effect. Every time we've got these waves of things dying, we're just going to go pew, 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 and that's how we're going to win the game. Those are the 3 ways that I would build Meren of Clan Nel Toth. Let me know down below how you've built Meren learning how you play, or I'd love to see a deck list. I'd love to play it on our stream sometime. If you like this video, like I said, if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe, hitting like, it really helps us out. If you want to support us further, we have a Patreon with monthly giveaways every single month. That's what monthly means, Joel. The link is down in the description below. Go check it out and see if you're a good fit. And if you want to hang out, we stream most Tuesday and Thursday evenings over on Twitch. We'll catch you later.